My name is Naomi Fletcher. I'm 32 years old, and up until 3 weeks ago, I genuinely believed I had already lived through the hardest parts of building a life with someone. I believed trust was something you earned slowly and lost slowly. I believed love shielded you from the kind of casual cruelty people warned you about. I was wrong about all of it. But if you had asked me then, sitting in my small but sunlit apartment, sipping my iced coffee while my fiancé hurried around packing for his bachelor trip, I would have told you I was the luckiest woman on earth. Liam Carter, 29, handsome in a warm, unthreatening way, with the kind of smile that made you forget everything else. We'd been together 6 years, engaged for one. I built my life around the idea that he was consistent, loyal, grounded. He wasn't perfect, no one is, but he was mine, my steady. I didn't know that this particular kind of steadiness could be a mask. Liam had been excited for his bachelor party in Miami. His older sister, Melissa, organized the whole thing. 5 days of clubs, beaches, fancy dinners, and one last hurrah before settling down. From the beginning, he kept reassuring me. Don't worry, babe. You know me. It's just the guys. And I did know him, or I thought I did. He wasn't the wild type. He preferred craft beer and documentaries about planets. His friends weren't the bottle service and models crowd. They were mild-mannered office workers who argued about football stats and whether electric cars were overrated. So when he flew out Thursday morning, I kissed him goodbye at the airport curb with zero fear in my chest. No foreshadowing, no gut feeling, nothing. He returned Sunday evening. That's when the first crack formed. He looked different, not guilty or nervous, just glowing, energized. Almost too energized for someone who'd barely slept 5 days straight, according to him. He showed me pictures, beach group shots, sunset dinners, goofy poses with his friends. Everything you'd expect. Everything he wanted me to see. Have fun? I asked. Best time. I needed that, he said, leaning in and kissing me, like he had missed me more than the air he breathed. And I smiled, believing him, because I always believed him. That was my mistake. Monday morning, he went back to work. Routine, normal, uneventful. Tuesday afternoon, my phone rang while I was editing a client portfolio. The caller ID made me pause. Jason Rivera, a friend of mine from college who now worked VIP hospitality in Miami. We weren't close anymore, just the occasional social media comment or holiday message. So his call was strange. Hey, Naomi, he said, voice casual but with something tight inside it. Weird question. Was Liam in Miami last weekend? I laughed. Yeah, his bachelor trip. He exhaled sharply through his nose. Right, was he supposed to be with a woman? Like, in a couple-y way? The world tilted. What do you mean? I tried not to choke on the words. I saw him Saturday night at the Fontaine Lux, he said. He was with this woman. Tall, dark hair. They were close, holding hands, dancing, real close. My stomach dropped like someone had cut it loose. You're sure it was him? Positive. I've met him at your parties, remember? It was definitely Liam. I pressed a hand to my chest. Jason, maybe it was just dancing. He hesitated before dropping the bomb that destroyed that tiny, desperate hope. They left together, took the elevator up to the guest floors. Something inside me went silent. Not angry, not panicked, just hollow. Did you recognize the woman? I whispered. No, never seen her, but they looked comfortable, like they knew each other. I sat there, staring at the muted TV across my living room, feeling the edges of my world dissolve. Jason wouldn't lie. He had nothing to gain, nothing to prove. Thanks for telling me, I finally said. You okay? I don't know yet. That night, Liam came home as if nothing in the world was wrong. He kissed me, hugged me, asked how my day was. I watched him closely, his posture, his tone, his eyes. Nothing told the story Jason had described. During dinner, I asked casually, So, what happened Saturday night? You didn't post any pictures. He shrugged. We hit a few clubs, danced until like 2 a.m. Super fun. I nudged gently. Anyone interesting? He didn't flinch, didn't blink, didn't pause. Just the guys. Well, Melissa's friend brought her boyfriend, but he mostly stayed at the bar. A clean, smooth, confident lie. One he'd probably practiced in his head. I nodded and pretended to accept it, even though something inside me started to calcify. Wednesday was worse. Every email at work blurred together. Every meeting felt like white noise. I kept replaying Jason's words. Holding hands, dancing real close, left together, went upstairs. Finally, during my lunch break, I called Melissa. Hey, Mel, sounds like you guys had fun in Miami. Oh, it was wild, she said, laughing. Anything weird happened Saturday night? I asked lightly. Saturday? Not really. We went to like 3 different spots. I took a slow breath. Liam mentioned some guy kept bothering your group. What guy? She asked immediately, confused, not guarded. I felt a cold chill creep up my spine. That meant one thing. Liam had lied twice. Either Melissa truly didn't know, or she was covering for him. Neither option felt good. Thursday, I started digging. Liam loved posting everything. Food, sunsets, shoes, our cat, his socks, everything. But his Miami posts were suspiciously limited, only the same sanitized shots he showed me. So I went to Melissa's page. Friday, a dozen photos. Sunday, brunch pictures. Saturday, a complete black hole. Every account I checked was spotless. Too spotless. Erased spotless. That's when the dread sharpened into clarity. Something happened Saturday night. Something he didn't want me to find. Friday evening, he came home acting like the perfect fiancé. He made my favorite dinner, lemon butter cod with roasted asparagus. He poured wine. He kissed my neck while cooking. He said he couldn't wait to marry me in 2 weeks. His eyes sparkled with affection that felt almost cruel. Naomi, these 6 years, you've made my life perfect. Perfect. I looked at him across the kitchen table, and for the first time in 6 years, I wondered who exactly was sitting across from me. And that's when the quiet decision formed inside me. I wasn't going to confront him. Not yet. Confrontation only leads to more lies. I wanted the full truth first. And I wanted him to hand me the rope himself. By the time I went to bed that night, staring at the ceiling while his breathing slowly calmed beside me, I felt the shift inside me, subtle but permanent. This wasn't a relationship anymore. It was a countdown to something he never saw coming. By Monday morning, I woke with a strange, cold clarity. It was like my heart had retreated to a locked room inside my chest, watching everything from behind glass. Liam kissed me goodbye before leaving for work, his lips warm, familiar. I didn't kiss him back. He didn't notice. Of course he didn't. Men who lie comfortably never expect the world to shift beneath them. At 9 a.m., I called Jason again. Can you check something for me? I asked quietly. Jason understood immediately. Give me a few hours. I'll dig. My stomach twisted with equal parts dread and anticipation. I didn't want to know the truth, but the version of the world I'd lived in for 6 years had already started crumbling. I needed all the pieces. While waiting, I combed through social media again. Still nothing. Too clean. Too deliberate. Then I noticed something. Melissa had posted an Instagram story on Sunday morning. A boomerang of mimosas clinking, harmless, innocent. But in the reflection of the glass wall behind the brunch table, I caught a glimpse of Liam and Melissa talking. Liam looked tired. Not hungover tired, emotionally wrung out tired. It was subtle, but it was enough to make my breath hitch. I screenshotted it without knowing exactly why. Maybe because evidence had become my new currency. Around noon, I took a break from work and called Melissa. She didn't pick up. 30 minutes later, she texted, Sorry, in a meeting, everything okay? Everything, nothing was okay. I waited 5 minutes, then typed, Yes, just wanted to ask something about the Miami weekend. No rush. She never replied. That told me more than any answer. At 2:14 p.m., Jason called. I stepped out of the building and sat on a stone bench beneath a wide oak tree, hands trembling. Naomi, you're not going to like this, he said. Tell me anyway. He inhaled sharply. The woman Liam was with Saturday night? Her name is Marissa Thompson. I froze. Not because I didn't know the name, but because I knew it too well. Liam's ex-girlfriend. The woman he dated for 2 years before he met me. The one he said ended things badly. The one he insisted he never spoke to anymore. My system pulled her room charges from the hotel, Jason continued. She bought champagne at midnight, room service, for 2. The edges of my vision went blurry. 2? I whispered. Yeah. His voice softened. And then there was nothing until 7 a.m. She checked out right after. Silence. Absolute silence in my chest. Jason, was this planned? I looked deeper. She booked her room 3 weeks ago. Same weekend as the bachelor party. 3 weeks ago. My throat tightened. That was around the time Liam started talking excitedly about making memories with the boys. 3 weeks ago was also when he suggested upgrading his phone plan for more storage. Everything shifted into a new, horrifying alignment. This wasn't accidental, I said. No, I'm sorry, Naomi. I closed my eyes. It felt like drowning. Except I could still hear my heartbeat, slow, heavy, stubborn. Thanks, I managed. I appreciate it. Hey, if you need anything. I just need time. We hung up. The world moved on around me. Cars passing, people laughing, a dog barking, but my life had split cleanly down the middle. Before Jason, after Jason. When Liam got home that night, he walked in carrying takeout from my favorite Thai place. "Surprise," he said brightly. "Figured you didn't want to cook." His guilt was becoming expensive. We ate. Or rather, I pushed food around while he talked about work, the wedding plans, how excited he was for our Italy honeymoon. He reached across the table and touched my hand. "I can't believe you're going to be my wife soon," he said softly. I nodded, fighting the sudden urge to laugh. Or scream. Maybe both. "Liam," I said gently, "do you ever miss college?" He smiled nostalgically. "Sometimes. Why?" "No reason." He shrugged. "College was fun. Wild. Before adult responsibilities. But I'm way happier now." He squeezed my hand. "Especially with you." A lie resting on top of the truth. A soft pillow covering a corpse. Later, while he showered, I went through his pockets. Not because I wanted proof. Because I needed to know who I had spent 6 years loving. In his jacket was a folded receipt. Not from Miami. From 2 days ago. A jewelry store. A pair of earrings he had put a deposit on. White gold. Simple. Elegant. "Something special for my bride," he had written on the note attached. I didn't know whether to cry or throw the receipt in the garbage. I did neither. I put it back exactly where I found it. Let him think he was still the one writing this story. Friday arrived, 1 week since Miami. Liam came home buzzing with affection again, arms wrapping around me from behind as I cooked. "I can't wait to marry you," he whispered into my neck. "We're going to be perfect." Perfect. That word again. That delusion again. He kept smiling. I kept pretending. He didn't notice my trembling hands. He didn't notice the tightness in my throat. He didn't notice I didn't say "I love you" back. And when he pulled me close and kissed me, I let him. Because I needed him to believe everything was normal. At least until I had everything. The truth, the timing, the perfect moment. And I knew exactly where it would be. Not in our apartment. Not over dinner. Not even in private. No. If he wanted an audience for his fantasy life, then he would get one for the truth. That night, in the dark, while Liam slept soundly beside me, I stared at the ceiling and whispered to myself, "He thinks I'll break quietly." But I wasn't breaking. I was waiting. Waiting for the altar. Waiting for the moment he'd look at me with absolute certainty. Right before I tore the truth open in front of everyone he had ever wanted to impress. By Monday morning, I woke with a strange, cold clarity. It was like my heart had retreated to a locked room inside my chest, watching everything from behind glass. Liam kissed me goodbye before leaving for work, his lips warm, familiar. I didn't kiss him back. He didn't notice. Of course he didn't. Men who lie comfortably never expect the world to shift beneath them. At 9 a.m., I called Jason again. "Can you check something for me?" I asked quietly. Jason understood immediately. "Give me a few hours. I'll dig." My stomach twisted with equal parts dread and anticipation. I didn't want to know the truth, but the version of the world I'd lived in for 6 years had already started crumbling. I needed all the pieces. While waiting, I combed through social media again. Still nothing. Too clean. Too deliberate. Then I noticed something. Melissa had posted an Instagram story on Sunday morning. A boomerang of mimosas clinking. Harmless, innocent. But in the reflection of the glass wall behind the brunch table, I caught a glimpse of Liam and Melissa talking. Liam looked tired. Not hungover tired. Emotionally wrung out tired. It was subtle, but it was enough to make my breath hitch. I screenshotted it without knowing exactly why. Maybe because evidence had become my new currency. Around noon, I took a break from work and called Melissa. She didn't pick up. 30 minutes later, she texted, "Sorry, in a meeting. Everything okay?" Everything? Nothing was okay. I waited 5 minutes, then typed, "Yes, just wanted to ask something about the Miami weekend. No rush." She never replied. That told me more than any answer. At 2:14 p.m., Jason called. I stepped out of the building and sat on a stone bench beneath a wide oak tree, hands trembling. "Naomi, you're not going to like this," he said. "Tell me anyway." He inhaled sharply. "The woman Liam was with Saturday night? Her name is Marissa Thompson." I froze. Not because I didn't know the name, but because I knew it too well. Liam's ex-girlfriend. The woman he dated for 2 years before he met me. The one he said ended things badly. The one he insisted he never spoke to anymore. "My system pulled her room charges from the hotel," Jason continued. "She bought champagne at midnight. Room service, for 2. The edges of my vision went blurry. "2?" I whispered. "Yeah," his voice softened. "And then there was nothing until 7 a.m. She checked out right after." Silence. Absolute silence in my chest. "Jason, was this planned?" I looked deeper. She booked her room 3 weeks ago, same weekend as the bachelor party. 3 weeks ago. My throat tightened. That was around the time Liam started talking excitedly about making memories with the boys. 3 weeks ago was also when he suggested upgrading his phone plan for more storage. Everything shifted into a new, horrifying alignment. This wasn't accidental, I said. No, I'm sorry, Naomi. I closed my eyes. It felt like drowning, except I could still hear my heartbeat, slow, heavy, stubborn. Thanks, I managed. I appreciate it. Hey, if you need anything, I just need time. We hung up. The world moved on around me. Cars passing, people laughing, a dog barking, but my life had split cleanly down the middle. Before Jason, after Jason. When Liam got home that night, he walked in carrying takeout from my favorite Thai place. Surprise, he said brightly. Figured you didn't want to cook. His guilt was becoming expensive. We ate, or rather, I pushed food around while he talked about work, the wedding plans, how excited he was for our Italy honeymoon. He reached across the table and touched my hand. I can't believe you're going to be my wife soon, he said softly. I nodded, fighting the sudden urge to laugh. Or scream. Maybe both. Liam, I said gently, do you ever miss college? He smiled nostalgically. Sometimes. Why? No reason. He shrugged. College was fun, wild, before adult responsibilities. But I'm way happier now. He squeezed my hand, especially with you. A lie resting on top of the truth. A soft pillow covering a corpse. Later, while he showered, I went through his pockets. Not because I wanted proof, because I needed to know who I had spent 6 years loving. In his jacket was a folded receipt, not from Miami, from 2 days ago. A jewelry store. A pair of earrings he had put a deposit on. White gold, simple, elegant. Something special for my bride, he had written on the note attached. I didn't know whether to cry or throw the receipt in the garbage. I did neither. I put it back exactly where I found it. Let him think he was still the one writing this story. Friday arrived, 1 week since Miami. Liam came home buzzing with affection again, arms wrapping around me from behind as I cooked. I can't wait to marry you, he whispered into my neck. We're going to be perfect. Perfect. That word again. That delusion again. He kept smiling. I kept pretending. He didn't notice my trembling hands. He didn't notice the tightness in my throat. He didn't notice I didn't say I love you back. And when he pulled me close and kissed me, I let him. Because I needed him to believe everything was normal. At least until I had everything. The truth, the timing, the perfect moment. And I knew exactly where it would be. Not in our apartment. Not over dinner. Not even in private. No. If he wanted an audience for his fantasy life, then he would get one for the truth. That night, in the dark, while Liam slept soundly beside me, I stared at the ceiling and whispered to myself, he thinks I'll break quietly. But I wasn't breaking. I was waiting. Waiting for the altar. Waiting for the moment he'd look at me with absolute certainty. Right before I tore the truth open in front of everyone he had ever wanted to impress. The week leading up to the wedding felt like watching someone else's life unfold, like I was a ghost drifting through moments that should have belonged to a joyful bride-to-be. Instead, I was an actress performing a role I no longer believed in. A role Liam desperately needed me to keep playing. His smiles grew bigger. His touches lingered longer. His conversations were filled with soft promises and future plans. It was almost poetic, the way guilt makes a liar affectionate. And I let him do it all, because the higher he climbed, the harder he'd fall. On Monday, Liam's parents flew in from Oregon. They took over our guest room with suitcases bursting with gifts, decorations, and wedding day surprises. His mother, Diane, hugged me so tightly at the door, she nearly squeezed the air out of my lungs. Oh, sweetheart, I'm so happy, she said, eyes shining. Liam has never smiled this much. I wondered what she'd think if she knew why he was smiling so much. Liam's father, Mark, shook my hand and told me how proud he was that his son was marrying a woman with such grace. Grace. If only he knew how much of it I was faking. But I smiled anyway, because that's what you do when you're orchestrating the downfall of a man who thinks he's untouchable. By Tuesday, the apartment had turned into a floral battlefield. Diane and Liam's sister, Melissa, were discussing centerpieces while Liam paced the living room practicing his vows. Every word sounded rehearsed, polished, dripping with sincerity. I wondered if he had practiced lying the same way. That night, while folding laundry beside him, I asked casually, "Have you talked to any guests from college recently?" He didn't even look up. Not really. Why? No reason. The lie rolled off his tongue so naturally it almost impressed me. Wednesday evening, we were reviewing the guest list when I noticed something, a name that hadn't been there before. Marissa Thompson, RSVP, yes. My eyes locked onto it, my pulse thudded. He hadn't told me she was coming. He hadn't told me anything. Liam, I said slowly, your ex-girlfriend is coming to our wedding? He flashed a smile that made my stomach turn. Yeah, I told you she RSVP'd. No, you didn't. He shrugged. Must have slipped my mind. We're all adults. It's not weird. Not weird? Inviting the woman you cheated with wasn't just weird. It was an insult wrapped in denial. I swallowed the bitter taste rising in my throat. Looking forward to seeing her, I said softly. He didn't hear the undertone. He didn't hear the quiet threat. He didn't know that by the time Marissa watched me walk down that aisle, she'd also watch everything fall apart. Thursday night brought the rehearsal dinner. Everyone was glowing, laughing, clinking glasses. The restaurant buzzed with joy. Fake joy for me, real joy for everyone else. Liam looked good, too good, in his navy button-down, talking to everyone as if he were the golden boy who never made a questionable decision in his life. Then I saw her. Marissa, tall, dark hair, falling past her shoulders, wearing a soft champagne-colored dress that made her look delicate and calculated all at once. Her presence felt like an electric jolt to my spine. She caught Liam's eye from across the room. He smiled. She blushed. They held the glance for a second too long. And I knew. I didn't need receipts. Didn't need Jason's calls. Didn't need lies from Melissa or half-truths from anyone else. I saw it, undeniable, unfiltered. Familiarity. History. Desire. The kind that doesn't come from accidental dancing or running into each other at a club. The kind that comes from bodies that remember each other. From a secret neither of them wanted me to know. My hand tightened around the stem of my wineglass. It felt like holding cold metal. My best friend, Sienna, slid next to me. Naomi, she whispered, eyes darting toward Liam and Marissa. Is that? Yes. And they're... Yes. She exhaled a long, slow breath. He really invited his ex to your wedding? He did. And he didn't tell you? No. Jesus, Naomi. I nodded, keeping my expression still. Stillness was my only shield now. During dessert, the best man gave a speech full of jokes and sweet stories about Liam. Everyone laughed. They toasted. They celebrated. I watched Liam and Marissa again. They were standing near the bar, heads close together. She touched her hair, giggling. He leaned in, his hand brushing her arm. He didn't pull away. She didn't move. My stomach twisted, not from jealousy, but from disgust, from watching two people dance on a lie they thought no one else could see. I took a sip of wine and forced myself to breathe slowly. This was good. This was perfect. The more they slipped, the clearer everything became. Later, when we got home, Liam sat beside me on the couch, pulling me into his arms. You look beautiful tonight, he murmured. I can't wait for tomorrow. Tomorrow. The day he thought he would win. The day he thought I would become his wife. The day he thought he could hide what he did in Miami and live happily ever after. He kissed my cheek. I didn't kiss him back. He didn't notice. Liam, I said quietly, resting my head against his chest. Are you nervous? Not at all, he said confidently. This is the easiest decision of my life. The easiest decision of his life. I studied his face, the softness, the certainty, the absolute belief that nothing bad could happen to him. He didn't know he was living in the last 24 hours of the world he built out of lies. And I wasn't nervous. Not anymore. Because I knew exactly what was coming. Tomorrow, in front of everyone he cared about, I would give him the truth he'd been running from. Not privately. Not gently. Not kindly. But publicly. With precision. With evidence. With the same coldness he had given me the night he cheated. As he drifted to sleep beside me, breathing slow and peaceful, I whispered into the dark. Enjoy your last night as the man you pretend to be. He didn't hear me. And even if he had, he would never have understood. The morning of my wedding should have felt like standing at the edge of a new life. Silk robes, champagne, nervous excitement, a dozen women buzzing around the bridal suite. Those are the images people imagine. Instead, I woke up next to a man who had no idea his future would end today. Liam was still sleeping, breathing steadily, his arm draped over my waist as if he owned the right to touch me. For a moment, I watched him, really watched him. The soft jawline, the relaxed face, the illusion of innocence. He looked peaceful. I felt nothing. Not anger, not sadness. Just the weight of inevitability. Today was the final chapter, and I was ready. At 9:12 a.m., as I sat in the bridal suite getting my hair done, my phone buzzed. A text from the private investigator Jason had referred me to. P.I. Latest activity confirms. Marissa Thompson checked into the Crescent Hotel last night. Bar tab until 2:07 a.m. Want me to dig deeper? I stared at the screen, my heartbeat calm and steady. He was still talking to her, still seeing her. On the night before marrying me. I typed back. No need, that's all I required. I put my phone down, inhaled slowly, and closed my eyes as the stylist curled another section of my hair. She hummed a soft tune, some romance song. Fitting, in the most ironic way possible. Down the hall, I heard bursts of laughter from my bridesmaids, dresses swishing, makeup brushes tapping. Someone uncorked a bottle of champagne. But under all the cheerful noise, there was something else. Tension. My maid of honor, Sienna, kept watching me like she expected me to break. She didn't realize I had already broken days ago. Now I was just sharp. You okay? She finally whispered. Yes. You're sure? I met her eyes through the mirror, steady, calm. I've never been more sure of anything. She swallowed, nodding. She didn't ask again. At 1:00 p.m., we arrived at the venue. It was beautiful. White roses, soft music, sunlight spilling through the trees. Guests were arriving in elegant waves, hugging, smiling, taking pictures. A perfect wedding day. A perfect stage. I stepped out of the car, my dress flowing behind me like a rippling cloud. Heads turned. Compliments floated toward me. You look radiant, Naomi. Absolutely stunning. Liam's mother began crying the moment she saw me. Oh, sweetheart, my future daughter-in-law. Her voice cracked with joy. If she'd known what her son did, those tears would have tasted very different. Melissa approached me next, her smile tight, edged with nerves I recognized instantly. Good. She knew something. Not everything, but enough to be scared. Ready? She asked. More than you can imagine, I said smoothly. Her eyes flickered. She looked away. At 1:30 p.m., guests took their seats. Photographers positioned themselves. The officiant reviewed notes. The string quartet played soft melodies. Then Liam appeared. In a crisp gray suit, hair styled perfectly, glowing with the certainty of a man who believed he was minutes from getting everything he wanted. He looked up and saw me across the clearing. His face lit up. My stomach twisted, not in love, but in a cold anticipation. Let him smile. Let him believe. Every ounce of confidence would evaporate soon enough. Then I saw her. Marissa, row 3. Champagne dress. Calm expression. Eyes tracking me like she was trying to measure how much I knew. She didn't smile. Neither did I. We stared at each other, two women connected by a man who had underestimated both of us in different ways. She glanced at Liam, at the altar, then back at me. And in that moment, I understood something unexpected. She didn't know what was coming either. Good. Let everyone learn the truth together. 2:00 p.m. The ceremony began. Bridesmaids walked down the aisle, petals drifting under their feet. My heartbeat matched the slow tempo of the music. Then I stepped forward. The air shifted. People stood. Phones lifted. The soft rustle of admiration moved through the crowd. I walked with a steady, unbroken rhythm, holding my bouquet lightly, my chin lifted. 10 steps in, I felt the weight of every lie. 20 steps in, I saw Liam bite his lip, emotional, overwhelmed. 30 steps in, I caught Marissa lowering her gaze. 40 steps in, I remembered the champagne bottle, the elevator to the guest floors, the room service for 2. 50 steps in, the betrayal settled into something sharp and metallic in my chest. 60 steps in, I reached the altar. Liam took my hand, squeezing gently. You look like a dream, he whispered. Do I? I replied softly. He smiled, oblivious. The officiant began speaking. Words about love, about partnership, about honesty, about faithfulness. Every sentence dripping with irony. Liam kept smiling at me, squeezing my hands every time something romantic was said. He truly believed the universe was rewarding him today. He had no idea I was the one writing the ending. Finally, the officiant turned to me. Naomi Fletcher, do you take Liam Carter to be your lawfully wedded husband? Shh. My hands went still. My heartbeat didn't speed up. It slowed. I looked at the crowd, at Liam's parents, at Melissa, at Marissa, then back at Liam. His eyes were full of hope. My voice was steady. I do not. The silence was instant, sharp as a blade. People gasped. Someone dropped their phone. The officiant froze. Liam blinked in confusion. Naomi, what's... I pulled my hands from his. I will not marry a man who spent his bachelor weekend with his ex-girlfriend. A ripple went through the crowd. Liam's face drained. Naomi, stop. No, I said, you stop. I took out my phone. The folder was already open. Room service for 2. Champagne at midnight. 6 hours unaccounted for, booked 3 weeks in advance. The same weekend your sister planned the trip. Melissa's head dropped. Marissa shifted in her seat, frozen. And then there's you, I said, turning to Liam, lying to my face over and over, inviting your ex to our wedding, texting her this morning. Gasps. Cameras lifted. Guests recording. Liam stepped closer, hands trembling. Naomi, please, we can fix this. Not here. Not in front of... In front of everyone? I echoed sharply. That's where you humiliated me. He shook his head frantically. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. Marissa covered her mouth. Liam's mother burst into tears. I took one final breath and said the line he would never forget. You said it wasn't cheating because we weren't married yet. You were right, and now we never will be. Then I turned and walked away. Away from the altar, away from the lies, away from the life he tried to trap me in. People parted for me. No one dared stop me. The last thing I heard before the doors closed behind me was Liam's broken voice calling my name. And the sharp click of 20 recording phones, capturing the exact moment his world collapsed. The moment the chapel doors shut behind me, the muffled chaos inside erupted like a storm contained behind glass. Voices rose, chairs scraped the floor. Someone shouted Liam's name. Someone else yelled, "Turn off the cameras!" But of course, no one did. People never look away from a disaster, especially one happening in designer suits and bridesmaid gowns. I walked across the courtyard with my bouquet dangling loosely from my hand, petals dropping in soft little trails behind me. My lungs felt tight, but not with panic, with release. The kind that comes after you've been holding your breath for weeks. Sienna ran after me, the second I reached the parking lot. Naomi! She caught my arm, eyes wide with a mix of fear and awe. Holy God! Are you okay? Are you sure? I'm fine, I said, surprising myself with how true it was. Because I really was. I had finally stopped pretending. Sienna pulled me into her car and slammed the door. The moment the engine started, a string of notifications exploded on my phone. Texts, missed calls, voicemails, Liam's name, Melissa's name, Diane's name, unknown numbers. I switched the phone to silent and tossed it into the cup holder. Where to? Sienna asked. Anywhere that isn't here. She nodded and drove. As the venue disappeared in the rearview mirror, I imagined the scene unfolding inside. Liam chasing after me, begging, his mother hysterical, Melissa frozen with guilt, guests whispering, recording, texting outsiders, Marissa shrinking into her seat, her careful poise crumbling, and Liam's perfect life collapsing like a cheap stage set. Good. Let him feel the weight of everything he'd built on lies. Meanwhile, evidence of my absence spread like wildfire. Within minutes, my phone filled with messages. Melissa, Naomi, please come back. Let's talk privately. Please. Diane, his mother. Sweetheart, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. Please let me explain. Unknown numbers. OMG, are you okay? What happened? Girl, we're all crying here. Liam. Message after message. Voicemail after voicemail. The first one was frantic. Naomi, please, just tell me where you are. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I swear it didn't mean anything. The second voicemail shattered into choked sobs. The third was angry. The fourth was desperate again. I deleted none of them. I listened to none of them either. Not yet. They were for later, when I needed reminders of why I left. Sienna drove me to a quiet boutique hotel downtown. I checked in under my own name. No secrecy, no fear, just relief. While Sienna went to the lobby bar to get us 2 margaritas the size of my head, I sat on the bed and finally let my exhaustion sink in. 6 years. 6 years of loving a man who didn't know what fidelity meant. 6 years of believing I was building a forever. 6 years of letting someone convince me that honesty was his default setting. But the truth was simple. Liam wasn't a bad man, he was a weak one. And weakness, when hidden behind charm and good intentions, becomes dangerous. My phone buzzed again. This time, a text from a number I didn't recognize. Your ex-fiancé is having a meltdown in the groom's suite. Thought you should know. Then another. Marissa tried to leave. Liam's groomsmen confronted her. Security had to step in. Then, people are eating dinner anyway. Diane told the staff to serve the meal. It's like surreal. I snorted. Of course, Liam's mother insisted people eat. Wealthy families don't waste a $50,000 wedding meal, not even during a public implosion. A fourth text arrived. Someone uploaded the video to Instagram already. I clicked the link. It was a shaky, grainy clip taken from the third row, right behind Marissa. It captured everything. My I do not. The gasps. Liam's horrified face, my calm voice as I revealed every detail, the camera zooming in on Marissa as her expression fractured, Liam's mother sobbing, the chaos that followed. Hundreds of comments were already piling up. This bride is a legend. Justice served. The guy's face when she said, "We never will be." Brutal. A small dark part of me felt satisfaction. The same kind Liam had felt when he thought he'd gotten away with it. 2 hours later, another update came from one of Liam's cousins. Marissa got fired. Someone sent her boss the video. Company morality clause. I stared at the screen. That wasn't my doing. But consequences have a way of finding their owner. Later that night, as I sat with Sienna on the hotel balcony, sipping margaritas and letting the city breathe around me, she nudged my arm. "You know you just became the main character of someone's viral TikTok story, right?" I shrugged. "At least it's a story I told myself." She laughed. "Fair." Then, quieter. "I'm proud of you." I didn't know what to say to that. There was pride, yes, but there was also grief. Relief and grief often hold hands. I let both sit inside me without fighting them. Around midnight, I finally opened Liam's final text of the day. Just one sentence. "I don't know how to live without you." And for a brief, fleeting moment, the woman who loved him for 6 years felt a flicker of something. Not sympathy, just recognition. Recognition that Liam's life didn't fall apart today. It fell apart 3 weeks ago in a hotel room in Miami. He just didn't know it yet. I put the phone face down. Tomorrow I would be on a flight. Not to the honeymoon he planned for us, but to a new life for myself. A life where the only promises I had to keep were my own. The next morning, I woke up to sunlight cutting through the hotel curtains in bright, golden stripes. For the first time in weeks, my chest didn't feel heavy. I didn't feel Liam's lies pressing against my ribs. I didn't feel the dull ache of pretending. I felt open. Not healed, not whole, but open. And that was enough. Sienna was still asleep on the other bed, one arm flung over her face like she was shielding herself from the ghost of last night's tequila. I slipped quietly into the bathroom, splashed my face with cool water, and stared at my reflection. I didn't see a runaway bride. I didn't see a woman humiliated. I didn't even see heartbreak. I saw someone free. Someone who had clawed her way out of a beautiful decorated cage. Someone who refused to let a man rewrite her story with dishonesty. A soft knock on the hotel door startled me. Room service. I hadn't ordered anything. When I opened it, a small envelope slid under the door and the staff member quickly walked away, avoiding eye contact. I picked up the envelope. My name, written in handwriting I knew too well. Liam. For a moment I just held it. The weight of it felt heavier than paper. The final plea, the final apology, the final manipulation. I opened it. "Naomi, I deserve everything that happened. But please, please don't leave without talking to me. I can explain." Explain. That word again. The favorite tool of liars. I folded the letter neatly and placed it in the trash can. I didn't need to burn it dramatically or tear it up. I was finished giving his actions emotional theater. The trash was enough. 2 hours later, I was in a taxi heading to the airport. I wasn't running, I was reclaiming. The honeymoon he booked was non-refundable, paid in full, and planned with meticulous detail. He had wanted us to wander through cobblestone streets in Italy, drink overpriced espresso, and take pictures pretending we were the couple everyone envied. But Italy didn't represent us anymore. Italy represented something better, a life he could no longer reach. I wasn't giving that up. When the taxi turned onto the highway, my phone buzzed repeatedly in my hand. Calls, texts, voicemails. Even Melissa had tried calling. But the world outside the window was too wide, too bright, too new for me to care. Finally, one message came through that made me pause. "Diane, Naomi, please don't cut us out. You were going to be family. I'm so sorry. We didn't know." A pang hit my chest, not for Liam, but for his mother. For the woman who cried happy tears at the rehearsal dinner. For the woman who hugged me with sincerity. But I didn't reply. This wasn't the time to mend what wasn't mine to fix. Healing sometimes requires silence. By the time my plane landed in Rome, I had turned off all notifications. I wasn't hiding from the world. I was choosing which parts of it could reach me now. Stepping into the open-air terminal, warm sunlight hit my skin. Italian voices drifted through the air like music. Somewhere in the distance, someone was playing a violin. And I felt something expand inside me. Possibility. I checked into the honeymoon suite alone. When the concierge asked where my husband was, I smiled. "I don't have one." The man's eyes widened, but he said nothing. Professionalism at its finest. The suite was breathtaking. Arched windows overlooking the city, soft white curtains, a balcony with a view straight out of a dream. Liam had imagined proposing a toast to me on that balcony. Instead, I set my suitcase down, walked outside, and let the warm breeze wash over my skin. Freedom has a temperature, and it felt exactly like that breeze. I spent the next 3 days wandering the city alone, drinking espresso in small cafes, exploring ancient ruins, getting lost in winding streets, letting the sun touch my face without permission from anyone else. The first night, I ate dinner by candlelight in a restaurant overlooking the Tiber River. I ordered wine I couldn't pronounce and dessert I didn't need. At the table next to me, a couple clinked glasses, whispering sweet nothings. I didn't feel jealous. I didn't feel lonely. I felt quietly proud, because I had chosen myself. That's something people rarely do, especially in love. On the 4th day, I finally opened Liam's last voicemail. His voice was soft, broken. "Naomi, I know you won't forgive me. I know I ruined everything. But you deserve the truth, and you gave it to everyone, including me. I'm sorry for all of it." A breath, then, "I hope you find someone who loves you the way you loved me." I stared out at the city lights. I didn't cry. Not once since leaving the altar. There was no mourning left inside me, just acceptance and gratitude for my own strength. That night, I stood on the balcony of the suite, looking at the city glowing beneath me, a living, breathing world full of new beginnings. I thought about the wedding dress unused in its garment bag, about the altar I walked away from, about Marissa shrinking in that pew, about Liam watching the life he wanted crumble in his hands. And I felt light, finally light. In the whispering wind, I said the words that closed this chapter forever. He said it wasn't cheating because we weren't married yet. He was right. And because of that, I walked away before the vows could trap me. I rested my hands on the balcony rail, breathing in the night air. "This is Naomi Fletcher," I whispered to myself. And this was my almost wedding.